That one was cute. Welcome to episode 3 of Don't Believe the Hype. I'm your host, Jyoty, and if you're completely new here, let me fill you in real quick. Don't Believe the Hype is a spin-off of our first series called Jyoty's Tips and Tricks, where I gave you practical tips if you wanted to get into broadcasting, radio presenting, DJing, to help you move forward or at least give you a fresh perspective on things. Now this one though, slightly different. This is a series where in every episode, I bust a couple of myths, I burst a couple of bubbles, and in between, I throw a little bit of shade. Nothing is not open for discussion. Hit that like before we even start, okay? Hit that subscribe before we even start. In today's episode, I want to talk to you about how comparison kills creativity. I'm going to start nice and cute, nothing for you to get too worried about. Then I want to talk to you about vinyl versus CDJs, since that's always a thing. I don't know why. And then finally, we're going to talk about stop being mad at talent. I know that's a bit vague, but we'll get into it. Let's start with the start. I really don't have to tell you this, but I have to tell you this. Comparison kills creativity. It is a sentence we hear all the time, and I feel like when you hear things a lot, sometimes it's because there's some truth to it. I can tell you from my personal experience that shit didn't really start happening for me in my career until I stopped comparing myself to my peers. I also afterwards realized that at that point, I thought they were my peers, but I was nowhere near doing what they were doing. Also, a lot of times you don't know what happens behind closed doors, and that could be perceived in a more negative way, but also in a more positive way. And what I mean by that is, yes, sometimes you don't know who people's connections are, friendships are, certain things they kind of were able to cut corners through. But more importantly, and this is the one I want you to focus on, sometimes you don't see all the hard work that people have done behind closed doors. I think this one's really important. Let's not always assume that people just get things they don't deserve. I guess the moment you kind of let go of always comparing yourself to other people, and don't feel bad when you do, because we all do it, but this should be a little mantra that you remind yourself about all the time. There's no point in comparing yourself. Not only are you gonna find yourself running out of ideas, you're gonna find yourself without meaning to copying other people or trying to become like other people. And that's just gonna bite you in the butt. Right now, I know that in the last few years, it looks as if the people who are doing really well in music, whether that's presenting or DJing, is because they're all extremely funny. You don't have to be a comedian in order to be a radio host, a presenter, a DJ, even a personality or an influencer. You need to be yourself, stay true to that, step out of your comfort zone, but don't be someone that you're not. And slowly but surely, whoever kind of is navigating and gravitating towards you and believes in what you do and kind of recognizes themselves in what you do will stick around. It's not really about how large this number of following is. You sometimes will find yourself getting further ahead by how loyal this little number of following could be. So keep that in mind. Stop looking at other people, man, and just brush it off. I swear, when I stopped getting mad at other people, obviously other things happened as well. A lot of work, a lot of experience, a lot of opportunities, but I think they all feed into each other. When I let go of that negative energy, and these are like lower vibrations, lower emotions, I was attracting less lower emotions. And think of that as kind of hoo-ha stuff, but I'm telling you, anyone who's put it into practice can confirm. Let's go on to a little bit of a juicier subject, especially amongst all DJs. Let's go talk about some vinyl and CDJ stuff, shall we? Nobody flaring their nostrils like, ooh, bit of Notorious B.I.G., bit of wax, a bit of vinyl. Actually, no, let me not even crack jokes because it's a serious topic. And I feel like this is something that makes a lot of newer DJs feel really insecure or self-doubtful. Is that a word? It is now. I'm talking about the conversation vinyl versus CDJs versus controller versus anything like electronic and a little bit less electronic. I respect wherever you stand on this subject. I'm not gonna argue with people who feel like you're only a real DJ if you play vinyl, if you play on wax. That's not my problem. And if you want to believe in that, I completely respect that. What I will say though, however, from my perspective, when I go out to an event, I want to be happy, dance, discover new music, hear songs I know and like, and I want it to be in a way that there's no disruption to the flow. It has to flow, whatever that means. So for me, if you are able to blend vinyl seamlessly, which is not an easy thing to do, and I will be the first to admit that I can't, that's amazing. But if you're playing songs that I don't really like, or you're not really doing something to change the energy in a room, then I don't think it really mattered what you were using behind the DJ booth. What matters to me most is how are you making me feel? And I think a great person who really made me more confident in believing in my own opinion was Fiddler. He's an OG in the scene. He's also very well known for being the person who taught Dilla how to use the equipment he was so famously known for using so well. And I asked him, like, where do you stand on this discussion? And he said, let me tell you something. I don't care what you do, just do it well and make me dance. And he goes, as a perspective of a DJ, I'm not trying to break my back going from airport to airport, from country to country, dragging suitcases full of records that I then might lose because I only want to play on vinyl because people are telling me to. So let that be a little guideline. I'm not telling you this right or wrong. I just feel like we should be a little bit more open to what technology has to offer us. And really and truly, some of my favorite DJs who only play on CDJs, they use the CDJs as a whole new instrument. Like, you know how they used to say about Kool Herc or Grandmaster Flash that they were using the turntables or, you know, the break section in a song and cutting it into a new song. That's what these new DJs are doing on CDJs. They're using effects and buttons and all this brand new equipment to alter songs in a way that we were never used to and making them sound in a way that we weren't used to. And really and truly, it's a brand new craft. So, shall we move on? I think we shall. We'll take you around town, baby. I don't know why. I don't know why.
Speak.
Hi.
Again?
Hello.
Yeah, she's it.
Ow. Final bit of today's episode. This one, yeah. I don't even really know how to call this bit. Is it called Stop Blaming the Talent? Let's take some responsibility. I'm not sure, but I'm going to use a tangible example. A couple of months ago, not everyone will have seen this or noticed this, but some of us will have. Someone decided to do a very long Facebook post about all the reasons why Peggy Gou is a horrible person, an awful human being. She's mean, she's this, she's that. Apparently she's also a psychopath because she wears a lot of makeup and perfume. Not sure why that was relevant. But what I'm trying to get to is what we, and I'm including myself because I've been guilty of this so many times myself, we need to stop blaming the talent. So many of us look at people and we go, why the fuck is that person so hyped? Like, why is that person everywhere I go? I also know that a lot of people have been saying this about me. Like, what's the whole thing with Jyoty? I don't get it. That's fine. That's not what I'm here to argue about. Of course you're not going to like everyone that's in the limelight. And of course you're not always going to understand why someone's in the limelight. But what I will tell you is sometimes, actually, most of the times, you shouldn't be mad at the person. Let me tell you why. One thing I've learned over the years is without demand, there will be no supply. Trust me, this person wouldn't be playing to large crowds or in these fashion campaigns or doing all this cool stuff if other people didn't want to see them doing it. It might not be you might not be the target audience, but there definitely is one. Keep that in mind. Another thing is, are you really gonna be mad at Peggy Gou charging $100K for a show? Or are you gonna be mad at the promoters that pay those type of fees to those type of people? Who are you gonna put the blame on? Because I'm not gonna lie, if I can get 100 bags for a gig, I'm gonna do it. You shouldn't blame me, you should be blaming the brands, the promoters, all the people that enable this lifestyle and these people and these characters. And whether this fame, this ego, this being put on a pedestal goes to an artist's head, That's a different conversation. That's not what I'm talking to you about today. So one of the best things that I've ever heard a family member say is being jealous or holding grudges is like drinking poison and waiting for the other person to die. What are you doing? You're over here staying up late at night. This person doesn't even know that you breathe. Think about it. And that's this episode. Personally, I thought this episode was really helpful. I would love it if you think the same. Anything else you want to hear, leave it in the comments. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. And if you know anyone that you think needs to hear this because they're feeling a little bit discouraged, they're a bit confused, or they're questioning whether they're talented enough because certain things aren't happening, show them this video, show them the other episodes. And while you're at it, just show them tips and tricks as well, because I kind of need you to do that.